The Barnstable Land Trust celebrates a big anniversary this year. We chat with Executive Director Jackie Barton on this episode of Barnstable Today. I'm Sarah Mannel. The Barnstable Land Trust is a non-profit organization that was founded in 1983. Its mission was to preserve green space in Barnstable. The organization is now celebrating its 30th anniversary. That's a big milestone for Executive Director Jackie Barton. With me this morning is the Executive Director of the Barnstable Land Trust, Jackie Barton. Welcome.
Thank you, Sarah.
Jackie, you're here to tell us about the Barnstable Land Trust and give us a little background. Can you tell me, I think the Land Trust is actually celebrating a pretty big anniversary this year.
The 30th year, yeah.
So tell us, when was the Land Trust developed and why?
Okay. Well, in the early 80s, there was a big building boom, and the Conservation Commission at the time was working on the town's first open space plan, and it looks something like this. In fact, this is a copy of the open space plan. And they, being a regulatory authority, understood very clearly that they did not have the time to work with landowners to preserve land. There was a big open space package being developed. The villages were identifying the important properties within each one of the villages in Barnstable. And they just felt it was important to have a private alternative to government land acquisition. So way in the back it says form a private conservation foundation. And they called a meeting, and a couple of people showed up. Gil Newton was the chairman of the Conservation Commission. Mark Robinson was on the commission at the time. Lindsay Council, people still know Lindsay. He's involved with 3 Bays and of course working on the CPA this time. So bottom line, those people called a meeting, and some citizens showed up, and they formed the Barnstable Land Trust, people like Liz Clark and Buzz Putnam, Gene Whiteley. And Gil Newton was also a founder, and David Rouse, who was the then Conservation Commissioner and the principal author of the Open Space Plan, they helped form the Land Trust and really get us started.
Now, give me an example of, say, a project that the Land Trust has worked on, or some of the work that the Land Trust does.
Well, in the early days, in the 1985, 83 to 85, we were really helping the town with its major open space package. Before we really got our feet under us, we were helping the town to acquire land by just simply talking to landowners and helping with the negotiations. But by about 1990, we decided that it was time to kind of focus on ourselves and identify parcels that we could actually help to preserve. So we began working with landowners then, and I guess in the 10 years, 20 years that followed, our projects changed, but in recent years we've been doing some major projects with the advent of the Land Bank and the Community Preservation Act that have helped us to fund some major acquisitions. Some of the most recent acquisitions and the biggest acquisitions, 23 acres in Katuitt called Cordwood. We recently finished a 24-acre project in Marston's Mills, the Fuller Farm project. We worked on Bayview Farm in West Barnstable in 2007. We helped Mass Audubon and the town preserve land over at Long Pasture on Bone Hill Road. So we've done projects all over in each one of the 7 villages, but those are some of our really major projects.
And what are you working on now?
Okay. The project that we're working on now, well, besides helping a few landowners with projects of their own, the major, if you will, community project is helping to save Lowell Park in Katuitt. Okay. There is 19 acres that surrounds the ballpark. The ballpark is actually partially built on that 19 acres. And for anyone who knows Lowell Park, it is where the Katuitt Kettleers play. So it's a tradition that must be preserved, and we want to make sure that the green wall that exists behind the field stays protected. 19 wooded acres. It's in a zone of contribution to the public water supply. It helps to protect not only the water supply, that is the drinking water supply, but the down gradient estuary, which is Cotuit Bay, famous for Cotuit oysters. Cotuit Mosquito Yacht Club is there. So it's all about water quality protection, protecting the green space that is around the ball field, as well as this is the southern link in an 800-acre green belt. So over the years that Barnstable Land Trust has been in existence, there's been a lot of work, both privately by the Mary Barton Land Trust in Cotuit, the Barnstable Land Trust, and the town, to help preserve land. There are well fields and cemetery, and when you look at where Lowell Park actually sits, it's the southern anchor in an 800-acre green belt, which is pretty impressive.
That is, because when you think about Cape Cod and Barnstable, it doesn't seem like it would even fit.
Right.
Tell me, now, all of these projects, they sound amazing, but it also sounds very expensive. How is the Barnstable Land Trust funded?
Yeah. Our major funding comes from the community through gifts, annual gifts from individuals, from businesses. We do fundraising events such as Gifts from the Sea, which we're doing July 21st. This year's event, it's the 19th annual Gifts from the Sea. It's a live auction, a silent auction. We have a raw bar. In the live auction, Jim Main Freeheart of Cotuit will be painting in the open air, on plein air. We have trips from Napa Valley to Africa to St. John's, USVI's, and to Patagonia. So it's a way for people to buy goods and services, so to speak, to help. But most of our money comes from member contributions, the generosity, if you will, of the community.
So events like Gifts by the Sea are really important for your organization to continue its work.
It's critically important. When it comes to preserving a piece of land, that money has to be raised separately from the operating expenses. But we've been lucky through the years to be able to partner with the town through land bank funds or through the Community Preservation Act, and often there's some small state grants that we're eligible for, but it's still all about private fundraising and partnerships with the town.
So you named some of these larger auction items. Are there any other auction items, maybe in the silent auction, that are big favorites of people who have attended regularly in the past?
Well, there's always artwork from local artists, Susan McLean of Osterville being one of them. There are trees, naturally. Makes sense for us to have trees, wouldn't it? Wheelbarrows, kayak, things of that nature. Just, I think, largely what the community brings to us.
And what is your favorite part of Gifts by the Sea?
My favorite part? Well, the most fun part, I think, is, besides seeing a lot of people that I seldom get a chance to see, we have this thing called Heads and Tails, which is an opportunity for people to win $500. And basically, you put your hands on your head or your hands on your tush.
Oh, that's right. I have seen this game played before.
And
so if they
flip the coin and it's heads.
So you're either out or you're still
exactly,
in.
And it gets down to one person. And
the prize there would then be the $500.
Exactly. The other thing that we're doing this year, as part of the raffling, you don't have to be present to win this, is that we have a big wreath of scratch tickets. And for those people who like scratch tickets, it's $30 for 5 chances and $300 worth of scratch tickets. So lots of opportunities to win.
Sounds like a lot of fun as well.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for joining me this morning and telling us all about not only the Barnstable Land Trust, but also Gifts by the Sea, an upcoming event to help raise some funds there. And we hope to chat with you in the future about more in depth about some of the projects going on for
Excellent.
the Barnstable
I would
Land
love
Trust.
that, Sarah.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
For Barnstable This Morning, I'm Sarah Mannel. Gifts from the Sea takes place Sunday evening from 5:30 to 8:30 at Ropes Field in Cotuit. For more information or tickets, you can visit blt.org. That web address is blt.org. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Mannel.